She chose me. Did she?
Okay, so there's been like a meme hypothetical going around lately that has led to a lot of discourse, even discourse that occasionally affects me in my timeline, all right? And it's the classic man or bear discourse, all right? So the hypothetical is, if you're a woman wandering around in the forest alone and you see something, would it be worse if that something was a man or a bear? And this has led to a bunch of women saying they would rather see a bear, because if you encounter a man out alone in the forest, you know, what's the thing? The worst thing a bear can do is kill you? What does this video say? I haven't seen this video. Somebody just linked this.
The bear or man in the woods thing was never actually a would you rather question. I know because I'm the one who started it, and I figured I'd use this tag to clarify some things. On March 12th, I ended a video by saying, if you're alone in the woods, seeing a man is 10 times scarier than seeing a bear. Someone commented on that video saying, no, seeing a bear is so much scarier than seeing a man, bro. I responded to that comment laying out why women are more scared of men than the bear, and that response went viral on the 19th. This topic started trending.
Oh my god, please, one of Fortuna's friends is losing his mind over this hypothetical because I think it made him realize he's kind of an incel. Genuinely, the reason this discourse is valuable is because all the guys who are like, I don't get it, why would you judge men like that? That's not right. It's like a big red flag, like, can mount it over them, you know? It's pretty obvious to like understand this if you think about it and understand what women go through, okay? It's not a literal objective like, well, who has the greater swing strength? You know, a bear weighs on average 212 pounds more than a man, you know? Like, that's not the point, okay? The point is like, what do men have to be like to women for them to appear to be a greater like threat or like a greater like predation, you know? Or a greater source of predation than fucking bear? It's pretty obvious. If you'd seen the way the average man looks at me when he sees my tits, you'd pick the bear too. Yeah, like every woman has a story of men treating them horribly. Few have stories of bears treating them horribly. It's pretty obvious why people would answer the way they do, you know? Like, it's not, because I see people get like really defensive over this, you know what I mean? It's just like, the whole point is just like, wow, man, guys are scary, you know? But like the guys who are like, I'm not scary, you know, you're doing like the not all men thing, kind of.
And growing for a few weeks, and then it really blew up with the street interviews. I never presented it as a would you rather question because I already knew that women were picking the bear and men were picking the man. My whole page is trying to get people who look like me to empathize with and understand the life experiences of people who don't look like us. So my intention here was to get men to think about why the world looks so different for women.
I was recently at a wedding, and after all of the formalities were done, people were dancing. And I was sitting down because I don't dance that often, you know, or at all, because I suck at it. And I noticed that all the guys were out there dancing. All the women were dancing holding their drinks. And, you know, I didn't really think about it. And I hadn't been to a wedding in quite a while. So later I was like, oh yeah, they were all holding their drinks. And then my friend was like, oh, well, yeah, that's because like if you leave your drink alone as a woman, you don't understand. Every woman was holding their drinks. This was at a wedding too, not even like a bar or whatever. I recently went on a date where I went to a bar with a cute girl, and she was like, "Oh man, the last time I went in a bar, I had to like go home early because my friend had been roofied. You know, like I had to like pull her out of the bathroom and like get her back home." And it's like, Jesus Christ, this is like your entire life. It's your whole life. I don't have to think about anything. You know, literally like zero thought in my head like about any of this crap at all. I can be like so chill. You know, a significant portion of the life of a woman is being credibly informed about the threat of predation against them. So given those circumstances, like, yeah, I don't think they spend as much time being warned about bears. You know, like that's it. And this isn't a not all men thing or whatever. It doesn't have to be all men. But what's that thing? Like every woman knows a woman who's been raped, but no man knows a rapist or something like that. Like it's not just like whether or not all guys are like that. It's how many men are not only not like that, but are aware of the extent to which it happens and so on, you know? That's why I really like Beastar's. Haru is great rep as a girl who is seen as nothing but prey to use by the average being around her. It seems dramatic in a show, but I was like, damn, Haru is trauma. Yeah. It's an edgy-ass show, but like not illegitimately, right? Like, you know, Definitely something is being said there. Is this because of internet make men scarier? I think women are taking it 10% too far. You think that, Benjamin, because you're a young man. But no. If anything, the like perceived threat has probably gone down with time. You know, like women are more comfortable being around men or doing this or doing that than they used to be, you know? Really? Yes. Advice for asking a girl out if you're autistic? Be a bear. Scratch your back against a tree.
That they would actually choose the bear. And my challenge to any man watching who picks the man in this scenario is, can you get yourself to a place where you would rather pick the bear? Can you get to that level of understanding?
This is a good video, actually. This is, I expected this to be more like engagement, bait, outrage, farming. This video actually seemed like he's saying what I would like want him to say from the outside perspective about, you know.
Because if you can bring yourself to understand why they choose the bear, congratulations. You've experienced 1% of 1% of 1% of what they experience every day of their lives.
All right, a little soy, but that's okay.
And you experienced it for 2.5 minutes.
All right, you know, that's okay. We can be a little soy when we're making a feminist point. Can we talk about how holding some prejudice isn't inherently a bad thing? Everyone holds prejudice. The only question as to whether or not prejudice is harmful is if it's harmful. Like, prejudice is not in and of itself... Where are my slippers? God damn it. Not making a point with cold feet. Prejudice is, like, neutral in and of itself, you know? The question is, like, are you enabling harmful social norms? Like, what are the consequences of what you're doing? Blah, 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 blah. Okay? Trust me, the world is not made a worse place by women being more careful about potentially being by men. Vaush, I've been raped by a woman and sexually assaulted by more women than I have been by men. If I say this publicly, I get laughed at, saying I'm lying. If I tried women based on my trauma, if I tried women based on how my trauma makes me treat them as a threat, I'd be mocked. Yeah, because a lot of people don't really take the idea that women can seriously. I mean, obviously you should do whatever you feel you need to keep yourself safe. Mistress Lynn, you don't have to push back against it at all. It's just a thought experiment. There's nothing, no men are being hurt by this, you know? I think that, like, men who are made to feel insecure about this should kind of, like, explore why, because I don't think it's that difficult to, I don't know, understand at the very least, or sympathize with. It's not like a not all men thing or whatever, you know? It's just like a play. Look, the fact that a lot of women are saying bear is a fact. Like, that, the fact that that is happening is, you know, so, like, there's two ways to go about that. You can either go like, wow, women sure are hysterical and over the top about the threat of men, which is, like, certainly a direction you can take it, or you can go like, you know, I wonder what underlying problems are causing that, you know? Vaush's chat sounds very reactionary right-wing whenever women's issues are discussed. No, it's not that bad. There's just a lot of, like, you know, young guys there's a lot of young guys on the internet who just don't, like, a lot of it is just an empathy thing, you know? You can't magically get an entire community of thousands and thousands of people to, like, instantly, intuitively understand, you know, every, like, all of these, like, empathy-based problems, you know? Vaush, I seriously thought bear meant as a fat, gay, chubby person. Okay. I take a lot of education classes for my major, and in my social justice and education class, I hear a lot of women talk about the experience being a woman sometimes sounds terrifying. Yeah, no kidding. It's crazy out there, man. I literally saw this on Twitter, right before I started streaming. This right here. For the love of God, please just put me in the room with the bear. And it's on Snapchat. And the lady says, my grandma died less than a month ago, and then my other grandma died 5 days ago, so I'm just really sad today. I used to call her on Thursdays. And then the guy says, I'm sorry, darling. If you want to vent or talk at all, I'm here. Thanks. Would having some sex help? Now that right there is male Riz. Now that's a man in the forest Riz move right there. This happens all the time. This happens literally all the time for women. Like, non-stop, constantly, like, day in, day out, shit like this, you know? Like, any interactions with men, like, constantly. Like, this is, like, borderline the norm, I feel. I don't think it's always this, like, upfront, but this basic vibe. I think at the end of the day, like, the argument is basically, if you encounter a bear in the forest, it'll probably see you as an equal, because you're like a big human, and if you encounter a man in the forest as a woman, they'll almost certainly think of you as prey. That, like, even if guys aren't necessarily intent on engaging in predation, like, the idea of, like, man predator, woman prey is hardline ingrained in a ton of dudes' heads, and it influences their behavior with women, like, non-stop, you know? Now, if it's a polar bear, yes. If the hypothetical was man or polar bear in the woods somehow, then I think maybe those stupid bitches would change their tune real fucking quick if it was a polar bear. They'd go, man, man, please, man, as they get mauled to death. Yeah, that would show them, you know. Yeah, that's true. I wonder why it is that women are so terrified of men that when men are most likely to be murdered by a man, why aren't men equally terrified of men? Because when men murder each other, it's not really like a predator-prey dynamic. It's not like predation or men going out of their way to like stalk or hurt men. It's usually like gang violence or like general criminality or people like fighting over bars or murdering each other and stuff. Think about it. Think about it like objectively for a second, okay? We're talking about a murder dynamic where you basically have the two sexes and one of them is significantly less dangerous than the other, and the men are often like incredibly irrational and violent. Wouldn't you, in both cases, also be more afraid of the guy? You know? But like as a guy, you see other men as equals. You know, to you the machismo, like, oh, they're strong and violent. Well, so am I. You know, like bullshit. That's like the default mind to a lot of guys. Like this stupid grug, like, you know, oh, well, they're violent. Well, I'll protect my girl. You know, whereas it's like what's that thing in patriarchy? It's not men versus women. It's men versus men, and women are the ball, right? Where like they're not even like the opponent. They're just the thing you control as you pursue the goal. You know, something like that. That's like an old line, but you know, it's still pretty true. Yeah, men also don't tend to kill other men because they're men, whereas an ungodly amount of like targeted violence is done against women, which is one of the reasons why male serial killers so often go after women, or if they're gay, like men, you know, whatever they're into, I guess, because that like predation element sort of persists in a lot of cases for some gay men. A better way to understand it is if you're a POC guy, would you rather see two white men or a bear? I'd pick the bear. Yeah, well, as we're gonna see from Ole Miss, you know, pretty soon. Yeah, like you're wandering around in the marshlands of Florida as a black man, and you see two white men. Would you rather them or an army of crocodiles? Or sorry, alligators. I don't remember which one is in. Yeah. Forget which one is where. Do you think most men are scared? I don't like questions like this. No, most men aren't scary and dangerous like that. It's a broader social dynamic, you know? A lot of it is just what people feel comfortable doing, or like in what situations people feel like they have social permission to, or what people feel entitled to. It's not like most men. I don't worry about most men, partly because I'm a guy, partly because I'm like a big guy, but a lot of it's just because I'm a guy. Like there are smaller guys who also don't go around super paranoid about guys, because generally speaking, predatory men don't target other men, you know, whereas women get like roofied or raped or harassed or stalked or like catcalled or whatever the fuck else, like pretty damn often, you know? Thinking of demographics as individuals and its consequences has been a disaster for American culture. It's a problem for everyone, right? When you talk about like broader like social issues or normalization issues, that's what those are. They manifest in individuals, but not necessarily consistently. Even good men have elements of that socialization in them, right? Like all the time, constantly. It's like that's the nature, that's how it is, you know? It would be like going back in time in the 1950s and thinking like, okay, white supremacy is pretty rampant at this point in time, like really, really rampant. So like, it's basically like American white society is made up 90% of racists and 10% of non-racists. And it's like, no, that's not really how it works. It's actually like a really broad spectrum of people with different ideas and attitudes. White supremacy informs everybody's thinking. Only a very small number of people openly reject it. In reality, it's more like a kind of range of influence where social circumstances can affect like how much you commit to the bit, you know? Even before I transitioned, I felt uncomfortable around men because it always felt like there was an unspoken threat of violence behind any disagreement. Because men are crazy insecure, you know? When people say women are emotional, what they mean is that women cry over burning toast or whatever. And then it's like, oh, well, men are rational, as they unironically act like gorillas over any perceived slight to their ego. It's insane. It's one of the reasons you can't like generally be friends with guys. Like bro friendship so often is lovingly referred to in online circles as a kind of like camaraderie willingness to prank and make fun of each other, because that's the limit of the sincerity men can express, because anything more than that would sort of trip into the ego and would start like making them really defensive or angry, you know? It's insane, dude. It's crazy. A gender, but 5'2", A5 with huge tits. At work, an obviously older man walked up to me and complimented me and gave me his number. I thought it was actually nice and flattering, except after that I realized that he was on my very short bus ride to school and he kept staring at me. I got bad vibes and... Wait, bus ride to school? Were you in high school at the time? I got bad vibes and took a different walk around to work. Oh, work. Okay, to school then. He predicted this and waited around the other side of the building to confront me and follow me to work, and I had to basically yell at him in public to get him to stop following me, despite saying I wasn't interested. Yeah, like it's genuinely like like this shit happens so often, though hopefully not to that extent. Like, you know, all the time. It's crazy. It's never happened to me. You know, never happened to me. So yeah. I disavow. Yeah, we as the guys in chat are all aggressively disavowing right now. We're all disavowing very hard. This isn't like a all men bad thing or whatever. It's just like you have to be sympathetic to the way this dynamic affects like women or AFAB or what the fuck, you know, feminine people. Didn't this literally happen to Hunter Avalon? This happened to Hunter Avalon's girlfriend. Yeah. Well, Hunter Avalon's girlfriend stalked her back home with a gun. Yeah, or what was it, a wife now? A wife now. Oh, congratulations. I didn't know that. Yeah, the ex or whatever stalked and attacked her. Yeah, and like shot into the door and stuff with a shotgun or something, you know? Society doesn't make the effort to weed out this behavior, so women have to assume the worst. Yeah, cool scene. I like that way of putting it too, because I think women would be a lot more comfortable if it wasn't for the fact that so much of this behavior gets kind of like, it's allowed to slide up until the very last minute. So a guy can be, even around his friends, persistently weird and creepy, but it's like, oh, haha, that's so wild, until he really does something. But because there's no system for weeding that behavior out early, or disincentivizing it, or disallowing it, or socially ostracizing people who act that way, like women, from the outside perspective, if they're not already like locked in with your friend group, they don't know which guys are red flags, because everyone seems to be okay with every like sign up until the final red flag, you know, like it doesn't like people kind of like write it off or whatever. I have a genuine question that still confused me about one thing. So if women at that wedding are correct to watch their drinks so closely, when you talk about brain poison women watching true crime, what is the manifest? No, Benjamin, these are different things. Women are literally taught to always have their eyes on their drinks. They'll bring it into the bathroom with them. The true crime brain poisoning thing isn't about like going out and being treated a certain way at the club. It's the fear of getting like broken into, like your house getting broken into or whatever. The problem that I have with true crime is that it manifests paranoia that's unwarranted. The fear that like somebody's going to like sex traffic you from the parking lot of a Walmart or like break into your house or whatever. That's the shit, right? But like, let's be real here, okay? On the list of things for a woman to be afraid of, getting roofied and at a bar is genuinely pretty high up there, like quite a bit. Like that's way more the likely to happen to a girl. Oh, and remember when I told you that I had a friend who was telling me about a story about how the last time that she was at a bar, her friend was roofied and she had to drag her out of the bathroom? That was because she didn't look at her drink. The reason that happened was because she accepted a drink provided to her by a man. That's why. Like she f***ed up, roofied. Like there you go. Like that. Like there you go. Congrats. There's your life now. Like so like the not to say that can't happen with like sex trafficking. Like it can. It's just like that's just so out there, you know. That's such a like true crime brain problem. Whereas the you know the immediacy of that is pretty real, you know. Yeah, the only person you accept drinks from at the bar is the bartender, you know. And ideally you'd see them make it too, which they do, right? Like bartenders make the drink at the bar. You see that, you know. It would take some pretty wild finagling for them to spike the drink there. Yeah, anything that knocks you out that quickly and that hard, Vermin, you know, really gets you. Do they have something in the US like Ask for Angela? I'm sure they do. It's just that I'm a man, so I don't know about it. You know, like all the like secret signs or whatever. Like I'm positive they do. I just don't know them, and I don't need to. Is the thing, right? But the whole point of that is that men don't know, right? Because if you're being like harassed by a guy, the guy wouldn't know if you're asking like the secret, like this guy's gonna drink, you know? Angel shots, what it called? Yeah. Certain drink orders signal they need help regardless of gender. Yeah, regardless of gender. Obviously, like regardless of gender. Yeah, I'm not saying. Yeah. I was roofied at a club, and even though my friends got me out, I was too scared to go back for months despite loving them. Yeah, no kidding. That's terrifying. Yeah, you know? It's not like being roofied is something that you can like muscle your way out of or whatever. It's not like it's not one of the, it's like pure, like it would happen with equal effect to basically everyone just based on weight, right? You know? So it's not, yeah. This is why whenever you go to the bar, you should have a propane tank strapped to your chest. You know, if you feel even a little bit woozy, you puncture it with a screwdriver. And that's, you know, just make it everyone's problem. The dead man switch. Yeah, walking around in public with a dead man switch at all times. And if even mildly perturbed, I just let go. How can you not be insecure as a guy approaching someone knowing that every woman has experiences like that? Because women somehow, in spite of everything, still at times do like men. You know, and you could be that guy. Seriously, don't like let it get you down or whatever. If you just be normal, you know, that's fine. Just be normal. It's if you can be normal, like at the end of the day, like, you're not responsible for what other guys have done to anyone you approach. You're only responsible for your own behavior. Just be considerate, right? This is one of the reasons why I stress that if you want to get more charismatic and social, one of the best things that you can do is develop conversational strategies that give other people an out, so that you don't ever worry about like trapping them in a conversation, if that makes any sense. So you want to like you want to, especially early on, treat conversations as a series of like back and forth hooks where you're determining how interested both of you are by giving the other person an opportunity to like take the hook and like go a little further with the convo, or to back off of it and not be that interested, you know? That kind of thing. Like even a compliment can tell you a lot. If you go up to a chick at a bar, you know, and you say like, "Oh my God, I really like your dress or your shirt. She's got like a nice necklace or something," you know, you can usually like, "Oh," does she go like, "Oh my God, thank you," blah blah, or she's like, "Yeah, thanks." Like you can read a lot just from stuff like that, you know? It's not a perfect system, but it's good to lean on the side of caution, especially in an environment like a bar too, you know, because like you're probably talking over loud music, you know, it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. This is another problem that having regular female friends you don't necessarily want to sleep with would help fix. Yeah, that's true, 100%. Yeah. It's you know, if you have some chicks you just talk to normal, it probably helps a lot just with the basic, you know. Remember the TwitchCon roofie drink delivery system? Yes, this got so much shit at the time because the idiots at TwitchCon, who are all men, all of them, and have never talked to a woman in their life and have never even seen a woman except for the booby streamers that they watch and subscribe to. At the TwitchCon like back end, you're one of our partners party, they pre-serve the drinks. This is like this would this is so incomprehensibly stupid. Like you would genuinely have to have never like looked at a woman in your life to consider this. At TwitchCon, do you know how many there must be at TwitchCon? Are you kidding me? Holy shit. Oh my God. Like it betrays like such an incredible boys club attitude towards the field, you know? Genuinely inhuman Lamau. Yeah, no, it's remarkable. It really is. It's incredible. You know it was on purpose, come on. I'm trying to be charitable here, but yeah, Twitch staff be Twitch staff, I guess. Banning me. I maintain that having a gender mixed stable platonic friend group is one of the best social influences a young man / boy can have. Yeah, 100%. What do you think about women who are just done with men and have that man attitude? Who cares? They're not hurting you. Like they might be annoying on Twitter or whatever, but like, come on, you know. Like if they're making really bad political prescriptions or like going out there arguing with people, you can argue against them. I just wouldn't take them too seriously, you know? In spite of all the terrible shit that men broadly have done to women broadly, there are still girls going out to bars, you know? Clearly, like, we're just going to have to live with each other. So I think that like a national divorce, you know, men going their own way, women going their own way attitude towards solving these issues doesn't really help. But if they're doing it out of a trauma response, then like, you know. Had a dude visiting town for a month say to my friend some shit like, "I'm confident we'll before I leave." Jesus Christ. Well, were they right? Because if they ended up being right, that could be like retroactively Riz, you know? I assume you just mean like totally platonic friend. She was taken at the time? Wait, she was already in a relation? Okay, I gotcha. That's somebody who's read like a lot of red pill form advice, you know what I mean? See woman who's already taken, you know, like flip the shades, go like, yeah, we're gonna before the end of the night, and then like get slammed after 3 drinks, puke in an alleyway, and pass out in your own puddle of vomit, you know? Really, really hardcore, like, Riz Master shit. I saw a tweet with a ton of likes saying men should be born in jail and have to prove their way out. That shit rubs me the wrong way. I mean, I don't know, it's pretty funny. Also, isn't that usually done in response to like a video of a group of men doing some horrid shit? I don't know. Like I don't think stuff like that hurts men as a social class. So we're not really talking about political harm here. I don't know. Like I kind of think of it as like if it was like the 1950s and you had Twitter back then and there were some black people who were saying shit like that about white people in response to a video of like a bunch of white people having drinks around a lynched black guy. I don't literally think all white people should have to prove their way out of prison from birth, but I don't know if I could necessarily fault the black people for tweeting that in the 1950s with their time travel tech, you know? It's not like an actual argument, it's a rhetorical point, you know? And I mean, it sucks, but like, yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't want to be lynched either. I feel like that would probably hurt, you know? Okay, but it's not that bad for women as it was for black people. No, but I don't know. It's kind of the broader sentiment, right? Why oppression Olympics it? Women do have genuinely like a lot to fear, and there's a lot of shit there, right? Like, again, men aren't being hurt by this. I feel like when men are hurt by stuff like this, it's because they feel uncomfortable approaching women, and they think that attitudes like this are an impediment to them being like normally social with women. But being normally social with women means doing so in an environment where you have to understand the cards are already stacked in your favor. There's nothing that you can do about that. There's nothing that you can do to like socially reorient. It would be like, you know, there's nothing, you can't like fix that broader context. You just have to operate like with like empathy towards people who are at other points in it, if that makes any sense. That's true, Annie. Yeah. Or then black trans women, if you want to like really nail it down, you know. I don't think of it as sex essentialism, Nikki Bugs. I don't really see it that way. Why do things have to be materially bad? You literally did an entire arc against hypothetical black ethnic cleansing against white people. Yes, because the political arguments that those people were making would have led to that. Or like when I say, hey, you're defending arguments that would basically actually unironically do like white ethnic cleansing, my concern isn't that they're going to succeed. They won't. We have the power. They don't have the power to do that. They're not going to do that, you know? The problem is that their arguments are bad. Like their line of logic like reinforces the system that oppresses them. It's a bad line of logic, you know? But like tweets like men should have to prove their way out of jail aren't like a serious political argument for sex segregation. If they were, I'd oppose it. And in fact, I have. I do occasionally see people argue for sex segregation in society broadly, which is a terrible idea, and I argue against that because you have to understand the difference between actual political arguments and like venting, you know? Like, you guys don't have an issue with this when I talk about the South, do you? How many times have I talked about, as I will this stream, Sherman going down and doing another burning run on the South? And you guys all understand that this isn't an actual political argument. You understand that it's, you know, a rhetorical device where I'm expressing frustration with and blah, blah, blah. See, you don't have an issue with it. And yet, for some reason, whenever it involves, like, I don't know, like men, like some people in chat are like, whoa, hold on now, and you lose the ability to distinguish between the like rhetorical point and the actual political argument. And I think that's because of insecurity. And I know that because I used to feel that way. I used to think that women were overstating the threat to them, and that by acting that way, they were being kind of hysterical, and it was an impediment to me socializing with them. And I used to think, hey, if women would stop being freaks about this, I could be more normal with them. And of course, over time, I stopped thinking that way because it was wrong to. Like, that was just a bad argument on several levels, you know? But I did have a period of time where I thought that. So I understand where people are coming from when they react that way. I'm only saying that, like, I'm saying that I understand it, you know? But, like, ultimately, it's something that has to be moved past, I think. Yeah, but you're being funny about it, and it's hard to tell someone is not being sarcastic. For you, maybe, Benjamin. When I see an 82,000 like tweet saying men should have to prove their way out of jail, I don't think they're actually arguing for a system where infant males are like, think for a second. You really think that's not a joke? Come on. I don't know, I've seen it enough times. Benjamin, you're fighting yourself right now. You're shadowboxing yourself. I see the problem is that you're autistic enough to not get hyperbole, except they get the hyperbole when I'm talking about Byrne and Sherman. It's because it speaks to their insecurities. Is this devil's advocate? No, I'm not devil's advocating anything. People aren't bringing out stats to prove Sherman as they are with the bear. What are you talking about? I could, like the Byrne and Sherman thing, I could easily substantiate the joke there by pointing to a bunch of stats that show what a shithole the South is and how Reconstruction should have never ended. I don't know what you're talking about. Look, let's move on from this topic, okay? If you're struggling with this or like the differences or whatever, I strongly encourage you to have platonic female friends, okay? I'm sorry, but like the pithy, insubstantial, flaccid insecurities you have about women making jokes about how violent men are pale in comparison to the fact that men are often really violent to women, you know? Like, go up to a woman and hear her explain to you, like, the 16 stories she has of men being freaks to her, and then go like, okay, but like, when you make jokes about these things that keep happening over and over from different men to you all the time with consistent patterns that are reinforced by broader social standards, you know, I don't think that means you should be able to make jokes about it. Now, watch me make jokes about, I don't know, murking Netanyahu, or like doing a Sherman run in the South, you know? Like, yeah, I just dial it back, okay? All right, let's continue. Nice bear discourse. I've proven myself to be the one good man. Thank you. Not all men. Hashtag not all men. I'm not like them. Thank you. Ladies, give me your number. Don't actually do that. Get enough emails from you people. I ignore your emails. I see your emails. Ooh, you're so hot. I don't care. I know. You think I need your an affirmation? I know. I wake up every morning, I look in the mirror, and I go, that'll get me by for another 20 years, you know? It just keeps stacking. I know. It's all good. What about men's emails? Trust me, you're worse. The average man is pretty riskless compared to the average woman. You're the one injecting hypocrisy into these hypotheticals. Okay, sir, I can't logic out your insecurities, okay? I can't, like, make you... Just think about it. Take a day. Just think about it. It's just a day. Just think about it, okay? Just think about it. Like, you're radiating insecurity to everyone watching. Like, there are 5,500 people watching right now going like, yeah, God damn, do they not see? Do they not understand, like, how this looks, you know? Artemy understands. He used to menace pigeons sometimes, but now he doesn't. What are you doing? Why are you twisting your head? Wah! Oh, you want to be free? Be free. That is such a nice cat. He's a very good boy. Red light time? No, not this time. He'll come back for it for sure. He loves the red light. He loves getting his little red light bath. I think a part of it is that men think a lot of women believe it's super easy to be a man. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how much that should factor into the thing, right? Like, even if women were not aware of that, I don't know if it really plays into the empathy that you should feel towards what they're going through. It's definitely, like, not easy to be a guy. There's plenty of problems with being a guy. It's just these aren't really those problems. Predation isn't, like, the thing guys worry about, you know? Yeah, listen, okay, I don't think it's easy being a guy. I do, however, think that when it comes to walking around alone at night or going to a bar on my own, being a guy is significantly easier. It's just depressing that I'm going to be perceived as a threat by default because of how predatory other men are. That's not insecurity, that's legitimate feeling. Get over it. Women don't want you doing that either. Women don't want you being like a weepy, self-conscious guy just because other guys have been bad, you know? You have to get over it. Sorry. Like, imagine how weepy you would sound if you were like a white boy doing this in like to like a black girlfriend or something. Like think about it. Like there's nothing more like pathetic and like undeserving of sympathy than a person from the dominant class getting weepy over the fact that they don't like being lumped in with other members of the dominant class who act worse than them. You have to live your life. You're not responsible for other people's behavior. Just be empathetic and do your best. That's it. Seriously, you know? Be empathetic, do your best, and you've got that. I know I overstated your point a little bit there, Troop, but, you know, I'm trying to get at the heart of it. You know, I'm like, got a trowel. I'm trying to uproot weeds of bad thoughts. I got to get the roots, you know? That's what I mean. Just try your best. That's all anyone can do. Vaush, for sake, it's not like I'm constantly self-conscious about it. It just sucks, especially as a black man. Oh, yeah, sure, 100%. I'm not saying that it doesn't suck. I'm just saying that, like, you know, there's nothing to do but, like, move past. Though the racial element of this is different because that's intersectionality, right? Like, the racial element exacerbates the perceived threat massively and undeservedly, you know, and that isn't being part of the dominant class, you know? I understand that more because in that case, you know, you're protesting against your, like, being on the underside of that class dynamic. All the same, you know, all we can do is try our best. Thank you. God took you long enough. Well, you didn't say you were black. That's obviously a different element of... You just said, man, that element, I think that you have to just, like, move forward. And then with the racial element, obviously there's a whole, like, other element to that, yeah, I think warrants more significant negative feelings because you're not sort of just, like, engaging in you know, like, I'm not like other members of my dominant class. That's different, you know? Intersectionality, right? Forming a big old X. Vaush, I think you're confusing hyperbole with getting to the heart of the issue. That's an arrogance thing. Why are you guys... Okay, the bear hypothetical succeeding even more in prompting revealing behavior. What are you on about? I don't know. I have a lot of platonic female friends and they would all laugh at watching your drink thing. Benjamin, if you think your platonic female friends would laugh at the idea of watching their drinks at a bar, I don't know if you're listening to them or they're genuinely insane and different from every woman I've ever heard in my life. Yeah, I genuinely, like, that, like, it's possible that they're all just, like, this is so universally considered. I struggle to believe that that is real or that this is something you've talked about with them. Also, how old are you? Are your friends even old enough to drink? 23? Okay, barely old enough to drink. Whatever, we're moving on. Vaush, is true that at a wedding it makes less sense. The point is that they're trained to do it. That most of the time when a girl is dancing at a place where she has drinks, she's not at a wedding, she's at a bar. So she continues to hold her drink while dancing at the wedding because it's so ingrained in her behavior that she continues to do it even there, you know? That it's not just like a considered behavior, but a reflexive one. That's the point. That it's habit. Oh, is that why they do it? If it's habit, wouldn't it also be habit to take a defensive stance towards men? Yeah, women never do that. Oh God, guys, all the contrarians are coming out now. Siri, come on. Can we please move on? I feel like I'm being baited.